This video we go through Dexscreener.com in a lot more detail. So when you first come to the homepage on Dexscreener and you'll see the link below, you'll see a page like this and you'll see current tokens, what's trending at the moment in the last 24 hours. And in the last 24 hours, you can sort the trending by time frame. If you want to know in the last hour what's really trending at the moment, you can click on the hourly time frame. And you can actually see here anyway for all the different time frames the percentage movements. Now don't get overexcited about these 20,000% movements. This is just because literally something new has just launched from, well, you can think of it as almost zero, but it's more well-established coins. Generally, the biggest moves you might see in well-established ones are 100 or 200% after they've already traded for a few days. If they're brand new, that's when you get the biggest gains. And that's what we'll talk about in just a minute as well. Along the top here, you've got the general volume, the meme coin volumes. We don't really use that when it comes to trading. But here you can go click on filters and you can actually filter by the platform. So for example, I can click on Solana only, click save, liquidity, and we'll talk about that in more detail. But if I wanted a minimum liquidity for a particular collection of say $40,000, I can add that there. And then you've got the age. If you want something very new, you can put max 1 hour and obviously transactions and so on and so forth. A lot of this I don't really need to play around with because there's not that many millions of meme coins launching every day. There's usually a handful on different chains and it's quite easy to quickly screen through them that I don't need to over filter. But if I click on apply here, it will stick to exactly what I requested and you'll see the Solana ones here. And if I want to see in the last 24 hours what's really moved, it's some of these here like Yoto here we have, Monk, Dragon. These are all reasonably well-known meme coins that have been moving. And what I would do then is I would click into the chart, and the chart, as I will repeat throughout this training program, is the most important thing. The charts tells you everything you need to know. I can just literally glance at this and realize that all of the main movements in this particular coin were here, mid-December 2023 and stuff. And it kind of died off here. And any small recovery here is very risky because a lot of the volume is out of this particular coin. However, you can still potentially make gains as well. But I'll discuss that in a different video. But as I say, the chart tells you everything you need to know. And once you're on the chart page, you have a lot more information. This gets very, very interesting. You get some amazing information on here. So across the right-hand side, first of all, next to the name there, if you click that small icon, that's a copy icon. And you can very quickly paste that into anything. So for example, if you're checking more information on the contract, if you want to check it in something else like Dex Tools, so dextools.io, I can literally search for it in here and it quickly will come up and I can click on it. So that's very, very handy. So quickly click on that and then you can paste it basically into anything. Here we've got the market cap, FDV, fully diluted valuation. It's more the market cap we look at to give us an idea of how the price is moving, because the prices of meme coins are usually 0.000 something, and that's a marketing technique just to show you that it's so cheap that once it gets to $1, you're going to have made millions. So all meme coins kind of follow the same concept now. Liquidity, how much money is kind of tied up in the liquidity pool available for trading. And if this is extremely low, it's very difficult to buy and sell tokens of anything. So it needs to be a reasonable level, usually at least kind of $10,000 to $20,000 and above. And then here you've obviously got the 1 hour, 6 hour, 24 hourly percentage changes. Scrolling down, I find this very useful. This is in the last 24 hours. I'm looking at the buying volume and selling volume. I can see more buys and sells. But in the last 5 minutes, what's happened? Buy volume only $89, sell volume a lot more. So it's been selling off a little bit. Again, not a big deal. Let's have a look at an hour. And then you can see it's kind of even again. So not too bad. Sometimes brand new collections, on the 24 hour, it looks good. But in 5 minutes, it's completely dead. And nobody's bought or sold for the last 5 minutes or even an hour. That's worrying because it means the volume's dried up there. Now, scrolling down, this is, again, something else extremely useful. Underneath here, we've got all of the transactions live. So literally a minute ago, somebody bought for $89. This is how much YOTO. We don't care about the YOTO. It's more the US dollar amount, which is why I like Dexscreener. And then you've got their wallet address there as well. And you can actually see how much they bought, how much they sold, how much profit they made, which is really cool. And if you scroll down here, you can see all of the different transactions. If you click on this USD button here, you can actually filter. Is anybody you might even call it a whale. What about a semi-whale? Is anybody who buying things in this particular coin over $1,000? Are they spending over $1,000? Click on that. You can see literally in just the last hour, there have been over $1,000 trades buying and selling. That's nice to know. You want to see that in a meme coin. And if you see that, especially early on, that's a very good sign. Now, even here, you've seen people selling. Let's scroll over their wallet address and see how they did. You can see here, this person bought 20, sold 29. But what's really cool is if you click on this little icon here, you can see only their transactions. And this is all of the transactions from this particular wallet address. And if you scroll down here, you can actually see, again, really cool, where they bought and sold. And notice that they made a buy really early here of $1,000. Now that $1,000 really should have been worth, and this is a lesson in itself, in that initial pump. As you'll see in my videos, you should be selling into this initial pump. They never did. They were up 1,500% and they bought $1,000. So, I mean, doing some quick maths, I mean, that must have been worth 15,000, 1,000 into 50,000. That's why we're in meme coins. That's why there's so much potential here. But they didn't sell. They sold some, but then they continued selling and buying and selling down here, and then the price just continued to die off. Now, they probably continued because they thought, well, what worked before might work again. But, sometimes you could say it's a little bit of luck that they bought there and they just happen to be in the right collection. Who knows? But at the moment, if you scroll over, you'll see that their profit loss is still very good. But spending 20,000 on a meme coin only to turn that 9,000 with all the risk involved is not great, especially since they got in so well. So if you actually delete, so my point is, if you actually delete out that initial buy there, which had made a lot of profit, that they probably would have been down if they bought at any other time. Just something to be aware of. Again, we'll discuss that more as we go through. So that's kind of the wallets there, which is really cool. And then to take that filter off, you just click on it again and click clear. And it's gone. And we're back to the normal transactions you see all the time. If you click on top traders here, again, really cool, you'll see who's made the most profit. And this is where, you understand my point now, that person could have really done a little bit better in terms of selling out and moving on, because they should have known, the 99% of meme coins are going to get that pump in the first few days and that's going to be it. So you have to assume that and take profits, always be taking profits. You'll be glad later. But you can see some of these flips, 10,000 into 100,000, 7,000 into 100,000, crazy, life-changing amounts of money. And you can do the same thing here. What's really cool is you can click here on transactions again, scroll down, and you'll see that this person bought really, really early. Sometimes you could be a little bit suspicious that it might be a team member who may have bought as they were launching and stuff like that. We don't really know. It could have been a sniper who legitimately bought. But notice, more importantly, the sell. They were selling all the way up. Again, I repeat that, selling all the way up. Yes, some of these sells were early. You don't know how many times it's going to pump up, but they were selling all the way up and they took most of their profits, and they'll be glad they did, because if they didn't, in terms of where they bought right now, the price is barely higher than where they actually bought. They would have made not a lot of money. They would have broke even or only made a little bit. So that's the really useful areas here below. That's the top trader. And sometimes here you see nobody's even bought. Now, Dexscreener is not always 100% accurate, so you have to take it with a pinch of salt as well. But then sometimes these could be marketing wallets for the company. So technically they didn't buy, they just held some of these tokens that they could later sell. Or these could actually be the pools, like the specific platforms like Trader Joe and things like that, where or Uniswap, where there is buying and selling of a particular token. So it's not technically a trader. So just be careful with that. And then finally on the right here, you get these icons here, which, I mean, people just click at random really. So I would ignore these. They don't mean anything. You get these socials usually should be here underneath the YOTO. Now sometimes, well, I mean, it's not uncommon for meme coin Twitter accounts to get banned. So sometimes you don't see that. But then this button is handy. If you click on search on Twitter, it will open up Twitter with that particular icon and it will search for it. And you'll see people talking about that particular token. assuming it's a reasonably well-known token and is doing all right. But also you can see some links here. So they're not always at the top. Sometimes you'll get them down here as well. So that's it for this video. In the next one, we'll go through this in a lot more detail, including covering new pairs. Thanks for listening.